Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So we're down to the end, and this will be my after action report for the Presto Precise digital pressure canner. And we've had 3 videos. We did the short unboxing, we did the dry run, which was done with these bottles here, and then that was the second part, and then the third part was actually canning a whole bunch of jars. We canned up 9 pints and 3 quarts of green beans, and I feel like it's been a pretty good litmus test of everything that happens with this thing. And first off, it's impressive. I am very pleased. You know, canning has always kind of daunted me, and this thing really has a tendency to walk you through it. Now, if I ended up with just a regular pressure canner that's not all electric, I think I could figure it out now, because this thing has walked me through it now 3 times, and I get the idea of how things are. I would have to look back up at how long to do certain phases, but yeah, I feel pretty good about what I've learned using this. I actually learned how to can using this, and it really held my hands. And now I saw a review on this that complained about all the button pushing, but frankly, you know, it's a button, beep, occasionally to take it to the next step. And in the process, it's telling you what to do next and what needs to happen next. And frankly, it's a lot simpler than what I remember my mom doing when I was young, when she did pressure canning. Everything is just right there spelled out for you, and the technology put into this is very impressive. This is a substantial piece of equipment that I think anybody could use. And so it's well built. The liner, in fact, one thing I did notice in the process of these last few things, this liner that we talked about, and we talked about this in the first 2 parts, but this liner actually seals the lid to this inner liner here. This seal seals the lid to this inner liner here, so no water ever gets inside the pressure canner outside of the liner. So it is a well-sealed unit. I think that just because of who I am, I will probably go ahead and order another seal in case one day we get to a point we need to do some canning right now and we've managed to destroy our seal somehow. Whatever. I am going to probably get an extra seal just to have it on hand. One of the other things that I did figure out, and of course, as I said in one of the first videos, I'm the nerd that reads the manual cover to cover, and I have wore this thing out. I have read every word in the manual. Definitely read the manual. It is full of information. It's good advice. It talks about how to use this thing and some safety protocols that you'll want to keep in mind. This thing does get hot, folks. There's pressure in here. You don't want to force things. You don't want to be pushing things that are going to burn you, because they will. I don't know from experience yet, but I know it's a lot of hot steam in there. So be sure and read the manual. That's my first big recommendation. The manual actually talks about running a dry run like I did in the second video, and definitely do that, because suddenly I'm like, okay, I see how to do this now. Now I feel much better. So that's the first thing. Definitely read the manual. The second thing is I'm going to make a checklist, and this video is for me as much as it is for anybody else watching, because I go back and watch these videos, and the next time I do pressure canning, I'm going to go back and look at this video and remember this point right here, because I need to have a checklist so I don't forget to wipe the rims of the bottles or use the non-metallic spatula to get the extra air out and top off the liquid, or all the little steps that my ADD brain has trouble keeping in order. And if you watched the last video, you saw I was wiping lids before I poured the the liquid into the smaller batch of smaller jars that I did. I definitely am going to put it up on the cabinet right above the canner so that I don't miss any steps. The next thing that I will note, and I'm feeling the top of our table, and it feels like something has just been on here, needs to be cleaned. But where the steam comes out here, and a lot of steam comes out of the lock, this little point right here that locks, and steam can come out of the regulator. But in both of those places, I actually had this turned to where the lock steam released before it actually locked in place shot a lot of steam up into our wooden cabinet, and it didn't damage it, but if I used it much, it would have. So I had to make sure to turn it in a way that this steam is not warping our wooden cabinets. We will be doing something different with these cabinets. We've only been in this house for less than a year and a half, and one day we're going to get around to doing something with those, but be aware that this thing does shoot out a lot of steam, and you're going to steam something above, just immediately above it. And that cabinet, of course, was just a few inches above the appliance. So that's another thing. And then finally, the last thing that I would like to mention is when you put water, you put 3 quarts of water into this liner. Let me open this up again. You put 3 quarts of water into this liner when you're using it. And there's a line down here that you fill up to, so it's very obvious how much to put in there. And it's the same thing with a regular pressure canner. You got to put a certain amount of water in there, and instructions all tell you how much to put in there. But you put 3 quarts of water in there, and that first dry run I did with just water in there. Now our tap water has minerals and other stuff in it, and I want to show you up close on the camera. In fact, I'm going to walk around here and show you one of the jars. You see that line right there? That is the mineral deposits from the boiling water. There was only water in the first dry run that I did in that second video. And so it left a lot of deposits on here. And I was reading in the manual, and it said you can opt to add a couple of tablespoons of white vinegar to those 3 quarts that are in the canner. And so I did that, and amazingly, every single bottle remaining came out perfectly clean. What was interesting is the batch that I did these smaller jars, the 8-pint jars in, there was actually a lot of spillage that came out of the jars, and so it really clouded up the liquid, but the jars came out clean out of that. I was really impressed. And when the batch where I did the larger jars, it didn't leak nearly as much, but also they're just as clean because I use the same 2 tablespoons of white vinegar in there, and I'm really pleased with that. I'm definitely going to do that, and I definitely recommend putting 2 tablespoons of vinegar in that 3 quarts of water that goes in the bottom of that liner. It was a good thing. Kept things cleaner. So I'll have to go back and scrub these jars to get them clean again. I'll use a little bit of vinegar. I use vinegar a lot to clean things anyway, so I am aware of its cleaning properties and how it works. So anyway, if you're just finding this, I hope you learned something about this. If you haven't gone back and watched the other 3 videos, do that. I covered a lot of stuff. In the first video, we did the unboxing. The second video, we actually walked through the dry run where these jars were, and I showed the dial very closely and everything that happens and all the buttons to push and when to put on the regulator and everything. So it was really good dry run. I strongly urge you to do that dry run when you first get it after your first cleaning, as it talks about in that video. That's the second video. So if you're just stumbling along, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss any other informational stuff. We normally talk about gardening, sometimes about life. And I would categorize this along with gardening because we're talking about fruits of the garden and saving things. This thing will also, you can do meats, you can do other stuff with this as well. We do not raise meat, So I don't know that we'll be doing that, though. I wouldn't be surprised if we test it with maybe chicken or something, just to see what happens with that. But yeah, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any other informational videos. If you have already subscribed, I want to thank you for subscribing and thank you for watching this video. Please click the thumbs up if you thought this was informational, educational, or entertaining. And the third thing is to share on your social media. All these are 3 free things that you can do to help grow the community. And we really appreciate any interaction that we can get with you. And you know, in the description, be sure and comment if you have one of these, if you found any of the same things that I found, or if you found anything else. I would be very curious to know if there's any other things people have discovered about this pressure canner. And so yeah, that's my after action report for the Presto Precise Digital Pressure Canner. I am very excited that we finally got one. We are going to be using this a lot this year, so you'll see this thing in our kitchen videos many times. I have a feeling we're gonna use the fire out of it, see what the life of this thing is, and if I can get 300 jars of preserved foods out of it, that would be pretty cool. I'm hoping we get more, of course, but we spent $300 on this, and I figure a can of food will hopefully pay for itself. I'm gonna have to keep a log of everything that I've been canning, and so yeah. Alrighty, well, appreciate y'all watching. Appreciate y'all joining along. This is just a short video to kind of give a summary of what I discovered here. Go back and watch the other videos if you have not, and feel free to visit our Facebook and Instagram pages. Try to post on there regularly. More stuff gets posted on there than we see in the videos, and be sure to like those pages, follow those pages. So all that being said, have a blessed day.